All right, guys, today we're going to talk about estimating sums. So let's break apart the phrase first. So estimating is an educated guess. So not just a guess out of nowhere, out of thin air. It's an educated guess, and it's going to be not an exact answer. So estimating, we're going to be using our rounding skills to help us with making our estimations. And then sum means to add, or the answer to an addition problem. So we're going to be using our rounding skills to help us do our estimate with our addition. And then our phrase is 5 and above, give it a shove, 4 and below, let it go. So that's the phrase that's going to help us with our rounding. So if we take a look at this first problem, if we think about 567, 5 and above, give it a shove. Let's round it to the hundreds place. So this 6 is going to shove the 5 up to a 6, and then the rest turn into zeros. 600 plus, and then this next section, we've got 372. So the 100 is what we're rounding. We're going to round, the 7 is going to bump up the 3, or give it a shove, to a 4. And now we have 600 plus 400, so 6 plus 4 is 10. And we need our 2 zeros here. So 600 plus 400 is 1,000. Now for our next one, we could do one of two things. We could choose to round to just the highest place value in each, which would be 1,872. So if we rounded that to our thousands place, we would round that to 2,000. Plus, and then if we round this to the highest place value, 2 is 5 and above, give it a shove, 4 and below, let it go. So the 3 is going to stay a 3. So we end up with 2,300. Now, if I was going to round just to the hundreds place in each of these, I'm going to get a little bit more of an exact answer. So 1,872, if we're rounding to the nearest hundreds place, the 7 is going to give the 8 a shove. So it ends up with 1,900 plus, and this 300 is going to be the same rounding as the other one because the 2 is going to let it go. So 1,900 plus 300 would be 2,200. So it's going to be a little closer to our exact answer. Okay. Now, one way just to look at our estimates is to check it just to see how close we are. So 567 plus 372. So 9, 13, 9. So 939 is pretty close to that 1,000. So, and you wouldn't need to do this whole exercise with doing the actual answer, but just to prove that our estimate is pretty close. So same thing with this, 1,872 plus 329. So 1 plus 9, or 2 plus 9 is 11. Take our 1 up there, 7, 2, 9 plus 1 is 10. 11 plus 1 is 12, 2,201. So you can see that estimating to our smaller place value here is going to be a little more accurate. Not that this 2,300 is inaccurate, it's just a little bit closer, it's a little bit farther away from our exact answer, but you'll be fine. Now, in an exercise that we've done in the past, this is this kind of interesting chart of the map of the United States. And in it, if you were taking a road trip, the way to read this really bizarre looking map is that the top number is the distance from one place to another in miles, and the bottom is the time. So if you were driving from St. Louis, right here, all the way up to Chicago, the distance would be 302 miles and the time would be 5 hours and 40 minutes. So if you were driving, for example, from one place to the next, if we were driving from Louisville to St. Louis and then St. Louis to Omaha, you can see that if we zoom this out a little bit, the distance from Louisville to St. Louis is 275 miles. So we can round that over here to 300 miles. And then this 510 in terms of hours, we could round to 5 hours. Now, I know this is off the grid here, but Omaha is right here on a larger map, which I'll show you in a second. And so the distance for that is 425. So we've rounded it to 400. And right here, this is exactly 8 hours, so there's really no rounding to do. But if I was going to add up my whole trip from Louisville to St. Louis to Omaha, I could take this and say, okay, 300 plus 400 would be my miles, because I've made these rounded answers part of my estimate. And then if I wanted to look at my hours, I could take 5 plus 8, which would be 13 hours. Okay, so that's how this map is a larger map of the whole United States, right? And in an activity that we do often, and I think we'll probably break out into doing this. You can pick any place, you can go on any road trip you want. We're going to start in Louisville, because since we're in Cincinnati, we're here in Cincinnati, the closest city on this map is going to be Louisville. So you could take your trip to anywhere, but you have to take it one leg at a time. So you have to connect the dot to the next one, figure out that distance and time, and then go to another place. So this person went from Louisville to St. Louis to Omaha to Denver, and then eventually down to Dallas. But you could go from Louisville to Chicago to Minneapolis to Bismarck to Denver. It doesn't matter. Whatever route you want to take is perfectly fine. So, but again, our estimate it's a guess. It's not an exact answer, but it's close. And the way that we're getting our guess is through estimation. All right. Thanks for listening, guys.